Assalamu alaikum, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, greetings and welcome to you all. Thank you for joining us. Welcome to this Shaykh Fadhlalla Haeri Foundation broadcast from Africa and Europe on human consciousness from the Quran. This is part of a Living Quran series which will be broadcasting fortnightly over the next few months. So do please subscribe to the Shaykh Fadhlalla Haeri Foundation channel on YouTube and the website to get notifications. The date and time of these sessions may change, so that's another reason to subscribe for up-to-date information. Today, Shaykh Fadhlalla, teacher and author on Islam and Sufism, is joined by Dr. Adnan Al Adnani, scientist and author, to share with us insight into the rise and nature of human consciousness from the Quran. The creation of Adam is a story that continues to engage us and intersects our discourses on science and religion, evolution and creation, and the nature of human consciousness. The Quran offers us insights into the myth of Adam, of good and evil, then the temporal hierarchies of matter and form, essence and spirit. Adam is mentioned in 9 surahs in the Quran, both as insan, as bashar, and of course as Adam. But the whole of the Quran alludes directly and indirectly to humanity's journey from a pristine state of unconsciousness and undifferentiated beingness to self-consciousness and the delusions of separation, and to the ethical call of living the deen, our duties and responsibilities, to glimpsing the unseen vistas that anchor our experience of time, and finally back through to the one source of all existence forms. Without further ado, I hand you over to Dr. Adnan to start us off, inshallah. Thank you.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah. Thank you, Muna. Assalamu alaikum. Well, as you mentioned, the whole flow of existence seems to kind of center around this figure of Adam. It's the creation of Adam is described kind of from this universal Rahmaniyya. In the Surah Al-Rahman, Al-Rahman allama al-Quran khalaqa al-insan. So the universal Rahmaniyya goes through the creation, ends with the creation of the insan, khalq al-insan. And through the process of allama al-Quran. Allama is a very key word. The root is to make a mark. So the whole allama, knowledge, is actually imprinting a mark on this universal soul of Adam. And it's allama al-Quran. Quran is also an all-encompassing teaching. It's another way of where everything is gathered. And that gatheredness is imprinted in the soul of Adam, the insan. So then we have this creation, this amazing creation that has the highest of the highest and the lowest of the low. It is in the worldly appearance, it appears as the last, as the human being. However, its meaning in the Quran is on the top. It is what is the Khalifa. Shaykhna, is that right?
Bismillah, Bismillah. We are privileged as human beings to be constantly driven through numerous different types and puzzles and flavors of challenges, but they all emanate from the same mysterious light of Haqq, of Allah Azza wa Jalla. From that light emits countless beams that reach into different levels within fields of energies. So you, I, he, and she have got this one particular, if you like, a drive to resolve this puzzle. Who am I? Where am I? Where am I going to? What is the end? We all want security. We all want to know the end of the story. And I want to know, will I end well? Is my destiny good? Would my parents accept? Will God agree? Is God happy with me? Who is, and on and on and on. If you go through that tunnel of light upon light upon light upon light. Then you reach the point of the dot from which this amazing puzzle of creation began, which we call so-called Big Bang. All what it means is that from infinite space, end of boundless space, and boundless time, this little bubble of so-called space and time and the four dimensions and us in it, groping, puzzling, crying, weeping, laughing, and all of the other stupid things in between. Want you to know, what is it all about? It's all about itself. Only Allah knows Allah. Only Haqq is aware and able to decipher this infinitude, because I am infinitude. I am born and I will die. And in between, I am puzzled. Is this going to be more conducive to life or not? Is it more just, which is again appropriate, or not? So all what it means is that the puzzle ultimately ends up in the moment. From whichever angle you come, go to the Quran a million times, reread it, recalibrate with it, and comments on it, meditate, you come to the same point of timelessness. And that's the moment. It is only the moment that connects all of the past to the present to the future. So if you are in the moment, then you are not carrying the burden of the past. Why did they do this? Why didn't they do that? They were all wrong. They were all right. Millions of books written to denounce and renounce or acknowledge different beings, different kings, different whatever. Go through that as a child. If you are wise enough and strong enough and disciplined enough, you come to a point where you say, I am now totally in now. If you are truly in the now, then you have encompassed all the past, all of the illusion of the billions of years, and the immensity of the moment, and also the future, which is the result of the now. So you are experiencing it personally. You cannot solve it anymore. You have dissolved it as a taste, as a dhawq. And you try then convey that to the others, and it often comes out clumsy. Because all what you can say, Ya layta qawmi ya'lamun, bima ghafara li rabbi wa ja'alani min al-mukram. It says, when he awakened, he says, oh, I wish my people know how I have been honored by my Lord. If only you know. If only you know what I don't know, but through my not knowing, it is that no more knowledge, it is supra-knowledge. At first you are below ignorance, you are a stone. Then you come, you're normal, I'm beginning to learn. So the parents are happy because the child has some intelligence, which means he can connect cause and effect and reason. So yeah, he's intelligent, this is normal. And then you say, no, he's super. We're talking about supra. You have to do all of that. But you must reach a point where the smile is no longer on your face or anywhere else except in the ultimate innermost of your own heart. That is beyond any more the idea of contentment or discontentment, knowing or not knowing, or happy or unhappy. These are necessary conditions, but not sufficient. They're preludes. Accepting, rejecting, attraction, repulsion. Preludes, they are essential. That's why you can't survive without other people. You can blame them, claim, and you jostle, and you say, no, I did that before them. So you are still within space and time. Until such time, you know that all of that puzzle and all of the challenges within space and time is for us to touch upon the infinite zone, which we all experience, which each one of us will understand and know when we leave the body and the mind behind. That is the whole story. I accept, as Dr. Adnan said, the entire Quran is about that. Otherwise, we will not know what is the Quran, what is to be read, what is to be accumulated, what is to be accepted. It's all to do with the, if you like, steward on earth, with the viceroy, with the Khalifa of Allah on earth. Khalifa of Allah meaning that he is here to practice being a mini God without using these words, because they've got some special connotations. You are now responsible. Why have you trimmed this? Why have you knocked that? Why did you burn this tree? Why didn't you pay attention to this poor man at your door every day? You're all the time saying, I want to meet God, I want. Here was God's creation. Creature was there. Why did you step on all of these ants? Why do you create so much pollution on earth? Why do you use so much anti this, anti that, war on this and war on that? Who has appointed you? Life has got its own reverence. If you have no respect for it, you have no respect for you. If you have no respect for you, then you will be despised by everyone else. And that's what we are heading towards. We are at a point in life where much is not reversible, and it may very well be that is moving into a zone that when we look back at it in 10, 20 years' time, if there are so many years left, we will not recognize it. We have transgressed and transgressed and transgressed and confused, as though we're not confused enough as animals which have evolved over billions of years. So that you add more to it confusion, more in miserable, terrible leadership, lies upon lies, so that we all become tiny little insects moving around, wanting more. No other creature does that. The season changes and they know, and they start collecting few seeds for their winter. They go into the little tiny thing under the earth, and they're courteous. They respect, and we don't. We have assumed that we can fix it all. We are all, we can do everything. We are supreme. And almost of this happened because of the weakness of few hundred intelligent beings who managed to narrow discovery into the basic scientific discovery, how to release energy from matter. Immense. 1 or 2 kilos of matter in form of uranium 235 or whatever else we can also use, it can cause havoc. So this is tiny matter reverting to energy. What if you take 10 tons of it and release it? The sun itself is based on that. And this amazing miracle upon miracle upon miracle of how the different constituents of atoms change and mutate and create new molecules or new atoms, and during that time releasing this energy upon which physical life is dependent. Putting things in perspective is really the purpose. If you want to teach, that is the teaching. See the A, B, and C, and D, and also use another language so that you're not using the same alphabet. Put them all together, you come to the moment of now, which is so immense. If you touch it, you don't want anything else. The rest I will listen to Adnan.
I mean, Sheikh, as you said, the moment of now is in order to appreciate what that is, we have to go through this whole drama of being a human, where, I mean, describes the Quran, even the state of paradise was incomplete, because he's telling you, okay, you have this place where you have no needs, but it's conditional. You cannot approach this tree. And for this state, seems that also it was a restless state. I cannot accept it. I still need to know what this tree is, so I need to grab it, and that was kind of a big bang moment in a sense, because from it everything exploded, go down in this bang of a state, and we had to go through this, and we're all. This experience of duality is almost that, but also what that state described is not as a position in time that happened somewhere in the past. I am going through it right now. This is my experience right now. My nafs is always grasping for something. I'm restless. I cannot, because it's outwardly looking. It's not inwardly looking to that now state, as you said. And here, where almost the whole technology of the inner technologies, even the outer technologies will lead us. In a sense, it is, even science tells us that the whole universe is mostly what they call dark. Dark doesn't mean that you can see it, it's simply unknown. What does it mean having 99% of, I don't know, space is empty or simply unknown? Is that we have, what we know, and what is so little that it's incredible. But you cannot know it in terms of going outward. It's like you need to have that inner nothingness. or that singularity that contains everything. It's incredible. It's an incredible story that we had to go through. And it's like this Adamic state was at the same time, before it, the angelic state was a state of forces, of free flow and perfection, but it's incomplete. He says, I know what you do not know, because it seems that the knowledge is incomplete when you just have one side of it. And you need we need the dark side in order to appreciate the light. And that's why it's called even jinn. You mentioned jinn being hidden. It was inert, hidden, until that being of Adam came about. And suddenly there is this idea of, before that was everything perfect, everything yes, the angelic state of yes, we worship, but then this dark side which says no, I'm not going to go into sujood. And that's also us. I experience that all the time. The nafs says, first thing it says no, I reject. It's not willing to do that. And it had to be experienced, the fire of that. I mean, probably that's what the meaning of the jinn made of fire is, that within me this agitation, this fiery agitation that seeks to know why am I like this. And in a sense, it needs to be the completion of that is when all of it comes together, Sheikhna. It's directly experiential. It's not an abstract knowledge. It is what we experience all the time in the now. Both Adam, the Rahman, and the Shaitan. In order to bring us into that state, as you mentioned, the now, the perfection of the now, the singularity without otherness. There is no duality. Duality is there is only to indicate that perfection. Allam al-Quran.
The most wonderful gift is قُلْنَا اهْبِطُوا. When this entity, when this reality of whatever infinite varieties and beams of lights coalesced and began to be reflective of itself, self-reflectiveness, then it cannot happen without duality or the shadow of it. And shadows or dualities have no place in paradise. So they have to descend to another womb, which is the earth, which is another womb, a mother's womb, preparing this magnificent, amazing, sacred reality of soul or spirit to accommodate itself until this little fetus is grown enough for it to begin to exercise the no, as you said, rejecting, because it has in it the light of eternity. So how can it accept anything else? So it's no, no, no. The 2-year-old is like that, you see. It's a Fir'aun at that age, which fully, clearly, and innocently, as we call it also. So come down so that you are in the zone of dualities, pluralities, multiplicities, so that you choose. How do you choose? Allama Adam al-Asma. You choose because you are in the web of countless virtues that you love. Why do you love? Because your origin is love. Your origin is the spirit itself, is the ruh itself, is connectedness without separation. Before the Big Bang was this cosmic love. After the Big Bang, there are infinite varieties of love. You can give them different grades of intensities, what. Love upon love. No. So in order for this innate glue between the infinite and the finite, which we call intelligence, to choose. So it is through intelligent, that you can truly know and be at one with the real you, which is your own soul, which is divine, which is not subject to space and time. So intelligence begins below intelligence, no intelligence, nothing, dark. Then rises so-called normal intelligence, which connects. Intelligence is the precursor to knowledge or connectedness. So yes, I have a clue, I understand, yes, I'm getting there, I saw it. This is normal intelligence, discovery. Then there is superintelligence. Superintelligence is that you're all the time in a semi-intuitive state. You know, it will reveal to you, it will come to you, it will show to you. Trust in the infinite from which the finite has emerged. Trust in the absolute from which the relative has emerged. So you move along normal super intelligence towards supra intelligence. Then you are living complete trust. You have now the real you, the so-called human you also, is completely been taken over by the timelessness of now. It doesn't mean you're not aware that this was actually an hour ago, or no, you are, or that this may come tomorrow because it's not ripe yet, needs few more days of sun before the fruit is ready. You're aware of that, but you're almost core and the center of gravity or referencing is in the now. So you have reverted back to where you came from, which was Jannah. So that is why وَلِمَنْ خَافَ مَقَامَ رَبِّهِ جَنَّتَانِ. One of them is this world. We all love the Jannah. We all love gardening, one of the biggest hobbies and so on, or fishing or whatever, which has a small element of the unknown. And patience. You don't know which fish is going to catch. And if it is too small, and you say, no, this is not fair. It hasn't had a full life of suffering like my suffering. So you release it into the water and whatever. So you learn justice, adl. إنه كان ظلوما جهولا. The nature of this unfulfilled, incompletely grown Adamic reality, not yet fully in the womb of the earth, is ظلوما جهولا, both ignorant and also causes injustice. Justice is to do the right thing at the right time in the right place. Justice is don't disturb the moment. Justice is to truly be a servant of peace. Otherwise, it's injustice. You disturb the balance. Then people will resent it. They can't accept it. We all want to be accepted as intrinsically equal in the eye of God. We're all the same. We are all Bani Adam. So you can't say no, because of his color of skin or his economic status and so on, we delegate him lower down. No, that is a worldly situation. Lack of, if you like, outer secular education and culture. Incidentally, the secular is not separate at all from the divine. It's an aspect of it that appears more on the outside, and it appears as though it is separate. No such thing. The secular is inseparable whatsoever from the divine and from the, if you like, spiritual. They're inseparable. There's only one. But this is the one end of it. So it's only rational and no reason, fine. But where did the rational and reason come from? From the same source. It is only the outer incrustation of it. So it's very good for people to say, I'm very secular, very good. It means I had enough from people talking rubbish regarding spirituality or religion. Wonderful. That's very healthy because they are using their intelligence. But go higher in intelligence, you come into super intelligence. But all of what I consider to be good, bad, and so on changes. 20 years ago, I wanted a tricycle. But now, not now. I wanted a bicycle, not now. What? So times have changed. So you realize that whatever you consider to be correct, good, appropriate, had to have the other dimension of time. But I want that, I want access, I want to recalibrate, I want to contextualize with a reference point that is absolute. So the secular and the religious and the spiritual are connected. Man and woman connected. Life is ever connected, no matter if it is a little gecko or an ant or an elephant. It's life. Most other creatures except us have respect for life. Remember, it's only us who end up becoming Pharaoh through all of the, very, very also in a way, clumsy discoveries of all of the arms and all of the other explosiveness that we have discovered. Clumsy is tiny bit. We have gone too far down a tunnel, which we may not be able to reverse. So we don't know where we are heading towards. The coming few years, especially 5, 6, 7 years, are going to be crucial in human life. We have led ourselves to a point whereby we can't even distinguish from anything between to be real or unreal, or real news or fake news. We have ended up ourselves being fake upon fake upon fake. And that's why collectively now we are in it. Because it's one tiny little earth. Tiny, tiny, tiny. Compared to the solar system, compared to our own galaxy, and on and on and on and on. Billions and billions and billions. And here we kill each other because you took 1 meter away from my land. And by the time you want to come and use it, there's no water. Or the season has changed so badly you can't plant anything. Really, ظلوما جهولا. We don't have perspective. And that will only come if you give up the illusion that you are in charge. You are given a little bit of this Khalifadom. I much prefer to be given a bit of a nice Papadom than Khalifa. Then you kill everybody because I am a Khalifa. I am everybody. I am sacred. Everything is sacred in its own way. But the human soul, because of its high degree of resonance and vibration with the eternal soul, with Allah, with God, with truth, with reality, because of its resonance with that, is in a way at the higher position. So if you want to know about us and our responsibility, from earlier on, the inspiration is to Bani Israel. If you kill one person, you killed life. If you bring one person to life, to awaken to life, then you brought all of life. Life is one. And not until you know that your life is inseparable from the absolute divine life, you have not finished your work. You have work to do, to discover and know. And that is where security lies. Otherwise, how much is security? How long do you want to live? You want to live 160 years old? Do you know what comes with it? How many replacements of whatever organs you have had? How many times have you have had to change your kidneys? What? It's really the now. The urgency is now. That's why I was happy that we are going to continue this communication, especially because of Adnan and because of the help of Muna Abbas and all of the others who are helping. And it is to do with that. If you have touched the now, then you have touched the precinct of ever pleasant, ever available, ever divine miracle. And then you are hooked on that. We are addictive by nature. Each one of us is obsessed. The mother gets obsessed with her child. The husband gets obsessed with his career or money. Everybody is obsessed with something or another, with changes. But obsession with the absolute is never ending, because the absolute lies in your own heart. So you are obsessed with the light in your own heart. That's all what it is, really. You have to do it. For that, you need mirrors. In the past, 2,000-3,000 years ago, there were these great characters, the great prophets and the great thing. So it was a lot of personality based. Later on, as intelligence and our own, if you like, amazing quality of awareness, an amazing quality of consciousness emerged and emerged and emerged. Now we are at a point that you have to do it to yourself. Nobody can save you. 2,000 years ago, you found a prophet, you hang on their tail. And until very recently, also, whoever looked a bit less egotistic, less stupid, people also hanged on their tail. Say, you are the reincarnation. And a lot of Sufi movements and Goofy movements followed with all of them. No longer. Take it from wherever. And the Quran is complete. It has it all. But you can come to it with total humbleness, irrespective of your background. Come to it clear slate, and you find it will inscribe upon you the most perfect wisdom, seen and unseen. Wisdom in order how to deal with your lower self and your ego and the animals in you, and with the intermediate self, the connection between self and soul, and the higher self, and the supra self, which is your own ruh, which is divine. So you will do it by yourself with the help of others. You need companions. And they don't have to be physically close to you, having a community. As soon as you have a community, you have competition. Who is higher up in that religious ladder? And that's another earthly situation which has a little bit of a touch, apparently to be religious or spiritual and so on. Those eras have gone, although the majority of people are still in it or want it. But times have moved. Now it is Rahmatan Al Alameen. Wherever you are, whoever you are, question yourself, see yourself, make a ghusl, truly wash yourself, take time, have 10 Ramadans, 100 of what? Go into silence, go into whatever is helpful. Go into any other possibility that takes the lower slightly away from you, so as there is space for the higher in you to fill up the so-called you. You are a vessel. So if that vessel is filled up with your past, with fears, with anxiety, as it was 3,000 years ago, people responded to fear. That's why the Quran is full of fear, full of punishment. Fear, 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 fear. But we are now into a zone where people respond more to hope. What is in it for me? I'm willing to give up everything. I'm willing to be a communist, a dominist, and communist. But what is there in it for me? So you are liberated. Liberated from what? You don't have a house. Oh, not really. I still want a house. So be honest. No, you still need a house. You need to look after something. You need to pretend to be the master of the house or the car or the mouse or something. Until such time you say, no, please, you can take it. Just give me a shelter. And then you want to fill up your cupboard with enough appropriate dresses for hundreds of different occasions. Until such time you are locked down, you don't go anywhere. So he said, no, thank you. I just got one little dress. Was that wonderful? And no restaurant. If you had anybody with a bit of taste, you had to book in a restaurant which is booked at least 6 months in advance. Now what advance? If you have lived the moment, there is no past, no future, and the moment is so immense beyond any entertainment. It is the ultimate attainment. You have to do it. For that, you need help. Depending on the level you are. If you are at the bottom rank of the level, fine. Learn Arabic, learn Quran, learn the ayahs, recite them, memorize them, repeat them until your family and your neighbors are bored from you. Good. Let them be bored. You're not bored. Apologize. You have to be honest and real. And you'll move. You say, no, Allah is guiding me. So this gathering of ours now, really, I consider it the ultimate Eid gift. During this period we didn't do constant lockdown. We didn't do real Ramadan. Now it was Ramadan and lockdown. I think it was as good a time as you could ever get. But of course, the nafs resents it. So it's about to explode. So many people have got a lot of mental anguish, Now, my social side is missing. I've not met people. I've not gossiped enough. I have not complained enough. I've not showed off enough. I'm cooking, but nobody's appreciating it. They got used to it. And on and on and on. This is the animal in us. Smile at the animal, laugh at the animal. Occasionally also you can put it in the zoo, give it enough food for it to have indigestion, close the gate. You have to have your own remedy. Imam Ali alayhi salam said, your illness is due to your own stupidity and ignorance. And your remedy is from within you. But you don't know that. And within you lies the ultimate book of books, the light of lights, the origin and the essence of Quran. But how can you read it? You have not even read your own whims, your own mind, your own illusion, your own fantasies, your own fears, your own anxieties, your own jealousies. If you haven't read these stupid little things, how can you read the light of lights? So you have to be honest. Be honest, smile, laugh at yourself, and you find the whole thing is a cooking process in a spiritual sense. But don't forget also, there is a cooking process in a kitchen sense. Don't deny that. That also exists in the outer appearance of us as semi-evolved animals. But take that to its nth degree, extend it in silence. Take half an hour every day. Stop everything. Work your way back like the salmon does, back to where it was spawned. I mean, isn't that the most miraculous thing? After a year or two, it remembers to go back 10,000 kilometers to where it was spawned. It's not memory. Also mapping. A bird. The birds that have been tagged, they move on average about 1,000 kilometers a day. They've moved more than 12,000 kilometers under 2 weeks. Where is the map? Where is the count? What about your own inner map? Aren't we evolved more from birds? Look, our ancestors, the dinosaurs, wanted to fly. They became like us, too fat, too big, too heavy, too incumbent. So they had to be extinguished in order for the bird to emerge. So read it, Baba. Enjoy it. Salam.
Can I perhaps take us back to the terms from the Quran? Are there clues, words that the Quran itself uses to describe humanity, as in Adam, Insan, Bashar? I mean, are there clues to this incredible dynamic interplay between what you were describing, Shaykh Fadhlalla, as the vertical and the horizontal? I mean, Adnan, can you perhaps shed some light on those terms and what do they illuminate for us about our consciousness?
Very much, very much. I mean, the whole Quran, in a sense, is that these terms that are experienceable. I mean, it describes us as being almost in constant struggle, or we're having this crisis management situation all the time. And if we didn't, we invent something. So كان الإنسان أكثر شيء جدلا. Jadala is this kind of struggle, conflict between ourselves. I mean, we are both. That's why we are both kind of from spiritual reality that came down, and also describes us as a creation from an earthly uprising, an earthly ascent. So we are made from turab, from teen, and all these descriptions are. And we are kind of struggling with the two. Am I this or am I that? And it's trying to find that point of where neither, kind of, as Sheikh said, that it's beyond description. So we have the descriptions of, again, the Adamic. Adam is, in a sense, although it appears in this Abrahamic traditions, the story of Adam, but looking at it, probably it has the Aramaic or Arabic. I mean, in Arabic, the root Adams implies acceptance, on receptibility. So could mean that that entity who's able to receive all the names, as he says. So that's one side. But the other side, there is insan and our nas. Nas, its root is naus, which means disturbance. So. And then you have the stage of maybe an evolved insan, which is bashar, because bashar is something that is more to do with good news, bushra. So indeed, these are all stages of us. Every stage in the Quran, or every stage in creation, is a description of us. And we are conditioned pattern beings, and in such a way, the conflict is most of the time is that we want to maintain the so-called norm, So even in crisis management, they say, "Oh, we want to go back to the norm," but the norm was the problem in the first place. So we want to maintain a fixed situation where in reality it's all dynamic. So the nafs is dynamic. I'm always I'm never content. Yet I want to hold on to, I don't know, whatever my idea of life is. That's where dogma comes in. Dogma and having a fixed mind, okay? Yet the mind is dynamic. So I'm disturbed by anything that disturbs my so-called, but there is what we miss, that there is something that is undisturbable in us. It says, go into that center of your heart. Yeah. That's where what enables us in any case to have knowledge and comprehension. Without that, everything is relative and in motion. Because we mistake that the center of consciousness, that is really where things are tranquil, from what is outside. So it is a question of that balance. How do you go from, that's why we spoke about ruhaniya, abudiyya to ruhaniya. It's that journey of insan, or the ascent, in order to go back to that, or simply recognize that it's not going back as in a regression or it is recognizing the internal now. Going back, yarji'un. Yarji'un is not as a return in time, it is a return to source. لعلهم يرجعون. The Quran always, whenever ends up, maybe I am afflicting them, I'm giving that, لعلهم يرجعون. So the nature of affliction is not victimization, it is simply the nature of the dynamic of this magnificent creation. But how do you go from the creation to the creator? You want to know the creator. I can never be content with creation. I'm always in conflict. Creation changes, it's unreliable. Plus it's a shadow. It's indicating the light. How can I find the light where I'm looking as Mullah Nasruddin? He's looking, he lost his key and he's looking somewhere else. He says, why are you looking here? Well, because there's some light here. Well, yes, what you are looking for is in the unmanifest, is in the ghaib. الَّذِينَ يُؤْمِنُونَ بِالْغَيْبِ. Why does it say that? Why it does describe the mu'mineen as الَّذِينَ يُؤْمِنُونَ بِالْغَيْبِ? How can you have security in the unseen? Because that is where the source is. It is the source, it is unseen because it's pure light. There is no reflections. I know things through opposites, through reflections. How can I go beyond reflections to see I'm seeing the moon, but I need to see the sun. The sun is at the center of the heart. It's not out there. So this whole human experience is, and the Quran directs us towards return, yarji'un. Return to that source, that light. But we have to go through this journey. And beyond that journey, even describes beyond that journey in the next paradisical state, even that seems to have incomplete, because they will ask, atmim lana nurana. This is something we have experienced before. We were not happy with it then. So even in that post kind of earthly state, still there is an incomplete. And we're still asking then, we experienced this before. This is not atmim lana nurana.
Complete our light for us.
Complete our light for us. So seems that it's still a kind of a dualistic stage, even that it's like, as you said, moving beyond the life of the body is still colored. We leave this with some coloring that means it's still incomplete. Is that right, Sheikhna?
Most wonderful gift we have is the dynamic way the Quran brings the story of creation of human beings and their journey and their struggle and their hopes and their desires and their destiny. It's incredible how it all begins from the unseen of that, like infinite, everything emerging from that instant of the kun. Nafakhtu fihi min ruhi, from when the divine absolute inspires this bundles of lights that it can now take every aspect of existence within it and understand it and connect from it and realize that all of it is from the supreme it, from Allah Azza wa Jal. Now, then it comes darajat. Then the angels, who are also these magnificent super creations, they say, but this being has got authority now within himself, or assuming he has the authority, that is going to cause havoc, is going to make rivers of blood, and because he is now playing God. Then the higher voice also reassures them, said, yes, but he is going to be caught in the web of attractive qualities, generosities, wealth, knowledge, power. It's all of the divine attributes that we love, hundreds of them. So he said, but in his ruh, in his soul, he's yearning for these qualities that are from me, that are my colors as well. So he'll be all right. He will have referencing. It is not going to be just the absolute. That which is between the absolute and him, he can refer to it. This is unfair. You've been acting incorrectly or too unjustly, to whatever. Be correct. others have to live. Life is for everyone. And so he is caught in that web of hundreds of fields of energies that lead ultimately to the absolute. So it is already, he is marked, it's already done. That's why the Quran also says, أين المفر? Or as Dr. Adnan reminded us, لعلهم يرجعون. We make a mess, we'll suffer. All of us will be poisoned. You know, اتقوا فتنة لن تصيبن الذين ظلموا منكم خاصة. Watch out for the misery that's going to afflict you or others. Not only the people who perpetrated it. They created a huge, whatever explosion is going to affect people. You're not separate from others. There is no others to do. So you begin to taste all of the mess that created in our planet. Clogged our trees, the same as we have the oceans, progress and industrial grades. So as people eat more, now everybody's suffering from potential. That's why there's a lockdown. To your Adamic original birthdays, which is in your own heart. That model of Jinnah is already in your own heart. The architecture is already there. You don't need fears, you have no anxieties.
Sorry to interrupt, but I think there has been a bit of a cut in the transmission. So we were getting your voice in staccato.
Nice. That's a good
I'm so
voice.
sorry, but it was
no,
important
I like
what
that
you were
voice.
saying.
It's very important. So it is all staccato. Even when it is not, it is still in staccato. Because of our mind interferes between your heart and my heart. So it's unavoidable. It's Allah is showing us reality as it gets diluted away from its source. This is how it is. Bismillah. I will try to repeat an aspect of that because we are the same. Each one of us carries what used to be in the past by Sufis called secret of secret of secret. These terms are no longer valid. In the past, because the majority of the people were at a lower end of intelligence, so you could not expose them. You couldn't say that the nur of Allah lies in your heart. I tell you, even 100 years ago, this would have been blasphemous. You say, oh, Allah lies in my heart. He's a criminal. He's just killed. He's just... Times have moved. There's been a lot of evolution and change and higher. Now you can say, look, what you are looking for is your own source within your own heart, your own spirit, your own self, your own ruh. Give it any name you want. You are the so-called you is a mixture of the absolute and the infinite levels of the relatives that have come about genetically, DNA-wise, culture-wise, religion, otherwise. You have to return to that origin which you are carrying in your own heart. How? It's not by just demanding, I want God, I want power. No, empty out. Empty your vessel and it will begin to fill up with the light that is giving you life. You have to be honest and genuine. It's not necessarily going to take tens of years. But if you are a hypocrite, then you need to be brushed. This is like some metal that has been left for too long under rust. It takes a lot of elbow grease to clear it. Otherwise, if it is clean, you just blow on it a bit, wipe it, it moves, it clears. The more there is confusion in your head, the more there is animosities, fear, jealousies, anger, desires in your heart, the more you need very special treatment and suffering. Suffering is the elbow grease that is needed to remove the dust and the rust and the pus on you, so that the light in your own heart, of your own soul, can shine. نورهم يسعى بين أيديهم. The Quran is full of it. I request that you can select 40 ayahs. Select 40 ayahs from the many ayahs that are not collected, and you have it all in so many other documents we have. Select 40 that are most important. Try and put them chronologically for people who are a bit more studious and they want to read them. and distribute them to whoever has been listening today. Then they can study them. Then they've had the exposure at a higher level, at a genuine, true, honest level, and then they can build it themselves according to their ability. 40 ayahs and their best translation, please distribute them. I also want to have mine. I'll put it under my pillow. So, so you live in it, you live by it, you wake up by it. That's what life is. There are shadows upon shadows. Don't deny the shadows. Acknowledge it. Say, yes, I've seen you, all right. But move on. Otherwise, you will remain where you are even after 1,000 years. Like we have, he had this assistant with him for 50, 60 years. And then one day he comes to him, he says, look, I've been hearing you all these years, 60 years I've been here as your servant, and I still don't understand what you say. So Bistami tells this fellow, he says, not 60 years, if you remain 6 million years, you won't get it. You're blocked by your mental image of who you are, what you know, whom you have served. I've served the master, so what? This doesn't mean anything. Have you got rid of the illusions and the shadows that you have accumulated upon yourself and made it your personal profile and your so-called biography? Get rid of it. Bury it first, because you're going to be buried. But bury all that before. Be bereft. Live as though you don't know, you're not sure whether the next breath comes or not. Do your best and trust in the rest. For that, you don't need 50, 100, 200 years of studies. You need a few years of basic foundation, courtesy, adab. Don't interfere. Listen. See the meaning behind the phone. He is a drug addict. He is completely hooked and he is begging. So don't go and give him a preaching lesson. If you can help him with a bit what he needs, what he needs is now drugs. Go away. Now here you suddenly go and preach to him and say, Allah's curses upon you. It's out of context. You are regurgitating only what's in you. Be courteous. Courtesy is living the moment. Living the moment is connecting with the absolute, which is there before all, within all, after. Thank you.
Isn't there sometimes a bit of a confusion between this divine light that's animating us? We know, we can sense there is something sacred, even if it is covered up. But then how do we make sense of the confusion whilst we're in creation? This balance between our humanity and our divinity.
Don't make sense, just leave it. Say, thank you, senseless. Thank you, confusion. Stay for a little while here. Go to snore. I'm carrying on. You can't make sense all the time. Make sense. You can't resolve everything. You can't do it, Bob. Depends what you want. You want to wake up, then stop talking about your dreams and your nightmares and this and that. This was a nice dream. They were giving me money. This was a bad dream. I had thieves. What is all this? This is a dream. Everybody's a dream walker, everybody's a sleepwalker. Dangerous. Get away from it. You can't. And it will get more and more difficult. You'll see.
Well, equally, we're surrounded on all sides by news of injustices and humanity's inhumanity to the rest of humanity.
I am not. I'm not
this
surrounded by injustice. I'm surrounded by nice people and the best place. And
you're very privileged, Shaykh Fadhlalla.
Good. Why aren't you?
But, well, can we go back? Sorry, my voice is cutting out. When Adam is in the garden, in that state of pure bliss, and he's told not to approach that tree. Now, the word tree in Arabic has a very interesting etymology, doesn't it, Adnan? I mean, there is something potentially in that word and the symbolism of the tree that sheds light on our conflict now.
Yes, I mean, the root shajar is another way of saying the web. Everything is mutashajar, as in everything is connected, anything like a web, but some things are in coherence, some things are in conflict. So it is the reality of existence. It is the manifestation of conflicting names. We have the constriction and the expansion. You have up and down and all that. Once you have that manifested, you have this web, right?
I thought shijar also means quarrel, doesn't it?
Yes, yes.
So that
once
web
you have
means
that,
quarrelsomeness.
yes, indeed. So once you have that, all these opposites operating, you are in quarrel, and the real quarrel is in me. It's not. It's not in that. It's not in nature. Nature is perfectly flowing. It's malaika. It is my quarrel. The quarrel is in me. I'm not content with these opposites, because my reality has no opposites, in a sense. The soul. Yes, and I mean one going back maybe to came that. In a verse, it says, Allah has brought down Ahsan al Hadith. The best of speeches, or the best of Hadith, also can be manifestations. He says, Kitaban Mutashabihan, a book, of course, a book, not just the Quran, the verbal, the book of existence. The whole existence is a book, including us. He says, Mutashabihan, Mathani. The word is very interesting, this word. He says, the mutashabihan, so there's similarities, but not quite. Similarities, it's in a way trying to describe how two-ness comes about. And he says, how is that? He says, mathani. Mathani, this word is, the root is thaniya, to fold. So all two-ness is a process of folding. So it's like having a mirror, and you keep folding it to create more and more perspective, so you end up with this house of mirrors. So in a way, it is how oneness manifests through self-similarity. You see that in nature. Everything has some kind of repetition, but not quite. And again, that's us. I am in that kind of enfolding, and but once you go to the reverse, as in enfolding, you see there's only one. So my consciousness falls onto me, and I say I, and then it folds again, and I say you, and then with these foldings we create this universe from one consciousness. But each fold is like a spectrum. You bring out a color, you bring out the whole colors come out. It is simply perfection, isn't it? How would the one pure light produce all these colors? In a way, it's the prism effect of folding. For me, it just really describes us, myself, and where the unfolding of it is that one consciousness.
Well, we haven't touched upon the story of Adam as it relates to Hawa as well. And now here you've talked about this duality, or this folding and the mirroring and being one. And perhaps you can talk about that as well, because this archetypal story that comes, the Quranic version in the popular consciousness is very influenced the Judaic-Christian story, which casts in a negative interpretation of temptation and sin to Hawa, that she's the agent that brings Adam to sin. But in the Quranic version, it's very different. And I like what I'm hearing from you, is talking about these opposites, these complementarities, but we haven't yet really talked at the moment about the masculine and the feminine principles in creation. Perhaps you could talk a little bit more about that now.
Well, as the Quran described, it says once Adam kind of goes into the garden, he says, "Wazawj," with this complementary pair, And in this state, it's not even the masculine and feminine is more the complementary pair that indicate the one. So we're always in that. Again, it's of course in its earthly manifestation, it becomes gender and becomes all that. But in that higher state is how this interaction of complementary pairs, the dynamic of that. And also that includes once you have that desire for even more. I mean, that's why the promise of the wiswas, that whispering energy. So it's like once you have that, you have the light and you have the dark side. The dark side whispers to me with constant whispering. You need to be. He says you were prevented from eating from that tree so that you would not be Malikain or Melikain, kings, or Khalidina, which is live forever. So that's in a sense that promise of trying to live forever from a position of duality, which is impossible. Duality is dynamic, is temporal. Only the true reality of the true eternal is the one. So we are in that kind of, that's again another conflict of however, again, how the two come together is in their union. That's why the zawaj is another, is bringing the two together, bringing the two bows in order to kind of complete the circle. It is another symbol of oneness. So you are, but again, you are, then again, the complementarity is in each of one of us is bringing, Rawhani and Insani together, so that you complete the descent and the ascent. Is that okay?
Yes, well, it seems like an awful lot of trouble to go to create a descent in order for there to be an ascent. We could have just stayed there in the first place. So what is this mystery of this journey? Maybe Shaykh Fadhlalla, you can conclude for us here.
The illusion again is that of the womb having space and time. When you say that, we should have said there is also here. And here and there were neither in the dot before the appearance of this, cosmic creation. And that is the same as it was then. So it's only that we are in this tiny little speck of a womb that we give it so much importance. Shrink time, shrink space, get back to that moment, and that is reality as it is. That is the absolute, which is in every heart. So the trouble is nothing other than the pang of being born into the absolute from which we have emerged. That's all. If you accept it, trust in it, yield to it, and it is nurun ala nur. If you resent it, reason, a lot of logic, a lot of me, why me, what, suffering, it's unfair on me. Who's the you? Most people say it's unfair. What does it mean? Who's you? How did you judge it unfair? There is no governance then in this universe. It's low mentality, low intelligence, actually. That's all. So most of you people who hear this, I suspect you are above average intelligence. Go a bit higher, you go into super intelligence. Go a bit higher into supra intelligence. If you don't know what intelligence is, Kan Allah wa lam yakun shay'un ma'a. There is only Allah, nothing beside it. Same thing is now already. Only haqq. So it depends again how able you are, how courageous you are, how generous you are, how honest you are. And then if you are truly honest, then there is no you. It is. That's how it is. And then you act as best as you can with others, not trying to act as, you are the agent of reality or God. No, there's no need anymore. La nabiyya ba'di. It was finished. The news was given. So the news is that there is only that. And if you discover it, good luck to you. Now you are most humble and you don't have huge expectations or desires and needs to be acknowledged. Do what you can, and the best will come to you when nobody else is expecting it, including you. But stay put. You'll be amazed until such time. Life itself is the source of amazement. And then your heart smiles, and your outer occasionally raises a finger of warning. People are transgressing, as we are now globally in that phase. A lot of transgression. So be careful, be cautious, trust in the perfect justice of the higher and the injustices of the lower, especially of human being. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. قل أعوذ برب الناس
ملك الناس
إله الناس
من شر الوسواس الخناس الذي يوسوس في صدور الناس. As Adnan said, it's all shadows. It's all gray shadows. It's frightening. يوسوس في صدور الناس. Watch out. Don't listen to these wiswases. Allah is all just. Allah is the perfect source and the giver and the master and the governor of it all. Be tuned to that. You will stop being concerned about all of the other mess that others are complaining about. It's not your business. Be restricted, be pointed, read that letter only, kun, and the dot of it, and the real of it. And be with people who are traveling on the same passage. That's why people on the same path are very important. And you need to find them through connections and discourses like this. And they are your friends. They are your family in a way. The rest is not your business. We are going through, globally, through a very, very dark period where we thought in accumulation, in fixing, in our medical so-called primitive know-how, our scientific, very basic, childish know-how, we thought we've got it all, we can fix it all, we're dominant. This is very crude. We have to come out of that darkness by Allah's rahmah. May take many years, may take shorter, we don't know. But you have to read it. Don't say business as usual. No, where is our next holiday? Where is our next restaurant? Thank God, less is more.
Allahu Akbar. Thank you so much, Shaykh Fadhlalla. Thank you, Adnan. Thank you for addressing these big questions. This enormous expanse of land is unfolding in front of us, and I feel quite overwhelmed myself contemplating it all. But thank you for your counsel and your guidance as to being cautious. This is probably the safest way to tread lightly on this earth, inshallah. Thank you both of you very much. Thank you all of you for joining us. And we hope, inshallah, that you will continue to tune in for the next sessions, and they'll be announced in due course. And if you have questions that you'd like to have be addressed, do send them in, and we will try to. These are unscripted conversations, and we never know which direction the inspiration takes us. So, we have to be also flexible and courteous to our speakers here. Thank you, Shaykh Fadhlalla and Adnan. Wassalamu alaikum, and thank you to the whole team for making this possible. All of this is done on a voluntary basis. Thank you so much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.